Are you stuck in front of a screen wondering what on earth you should post next on social media? Well, don't worry too much, you're definitely not the only one. In this video, I'll walk you through real-life proven ways to put yourself into a creative mode so you never run out of ideas again. These are not technical tricks nor content hacks. They're fundamentals rooted in how the human mind actually works. If you create content for yourself, your brand, or your clients, this will permanently change the way you think about ideas and how you find them. When I was younger, I remember sometimes worrying about something very silly. I was afraid I would run out of compliments, especially for my girl. She reacted so emotionally that I had this strange thought: what if one day the inspiration fades? What if after years together I have nothing new and beautiful to say anymore? And then over the years I realized something important. When you live truly, when you really experience life and have purpose, depth and creativity don't disappear, they multiply. The more time I spent with her, the more of her world I discovered, more nuances, more inspiration. And that taught me a lesson I later carried into many aspects of life. One of those aspects which dragged me into these kinds of thoughts recently is content creation for digital marketing purposes. Because most of us, especially when we start creating content for ourselves or for clients, we hit the same fear. What if I run out of ideas? Let me reassure you right now, you will never run out of ideas. Ideas are not a finite resource. They are a byproduct of living, observing, learning, and thinking. There's even research behind this. Cognitive psychology shows that the brain generates ideas through association, not through effort. The more inputs you give it, experiences, perspectives, emotions, the more connections it forms. And Aristotle famously said something powerful centuries ago: the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Meaning, more knowledge doesn't consume ideas and what exists around you. It opens new windows to an infinite universe. But here's the paradox. When you are desperately trying to find ideas, you're actually blocking them. Why is that? Because you are in the wrong psychological state. You don't find inspiration by pushing it. You find inspiration by attracting it. And neuroscience agrees with that. Most creative insights happen during diffuse thinking, not when you're forcing productivity, but when your mind is relaxed. That's why ideas come in the shower, on walks, or right before sleep. So if you're stuck, don't double down on pressure. Give yourself a break. Go live your life. And now let's get practical, because what I'm going to share with you are 9 real proven activities to help you generate ideas without burning out. Number 1, read books. Apart from giving you a lot of information, reading actually rewires how your brain organizes thoughts. And studies from Stanford show that reading long-form content improves abstract thinking, which is exactly what content creators need. 1 book chapter can easily inspire 3 short videos, 5 posts to 1 long reflection, and suddenly ideas multiply. Second, spend time in nature. And this is not romantic talk. This is science. Research from the University of Utah shows that time in nature can increase creative problem solving by up to 50%, because nature helps reduce mental noise, and the quiet mind is where ideas are born. Number 3, write even when it feels messy. Writing is not about clarity. Writing creates clarity. In psychology, this is called external cognition, and it's when you can think better because thoughts leave your head and land on a paper. Start writing and you'll realize you know much more than you initially thought. Number 4, meet people, talk to them, listen to them, because the real life is the strongest source of inspiration. AI, no matter how brilliant it is, it can't start a conversation. It can only respond to your input. People give you fraction, people give you disagreement, emotion, stories, and all that raw material for content. And if you pay attention, most great content ideas start with someone told me something interesting the other day. Number 5, move your body. Physical activity increases blood flow to the brain and boosts dopamine. And dopamine is a neurotransmitter directly linked to the motivation and to creativity. Some of my clearest ideas came after workouts and rarely behind the computer desk. Number 6, talk before you think perfectly. We don't always think first and then speak. Often we speak in order to be able to think, and conversation sharpens ideas, even the unfinished one. That's why podcasts, debates, and casual discussions are great for finding ideas. Number 7, study headlines. Magazine covers and newspaper headlines are genius. First, because they have the best copywriters, and also because they compress complex ideas into emotional hooks. And this trains your brain to think in angles, not just based on information. Number 8, scroll social media consciously. As much as you might hate it, it is part of the job. Not to copy, but to observe. To observe what people react to observe what language they use, what problems repeat, and looking at trends, but not as instructions to copy them, because trends are a way to discover patterns in your audience. The last one, number 9, do nothing. Yes, you heard it right. Someone even said once, half jokingly, creative people need a lot of time to sit and do nothing. And neuroscience strangely agrees with that. The brain's default mode network responsible for creativity activates when you're idle. So lazy people, cheers, stillness is productive. I also have a few extra technical methods you can add, which are idea sources based on the research beyond what I mentioned above. Let's start with customer support conversations, for example. They are great idea sources. Search intent tools like Google Trends, for example, or teaching something out loud is another way, because teaching exposes gaps and angles. And using contrarian thinking. Create topics about things you disagree with in your industry. Finally, to conclude, content ideas don't come from calendars. They come from depth. The more you live, feel, move, talk, and observe, the more content you'll have. And not just content, but meaningful content for human beings. I'm Volnet Velia, and I help businesses grow discovering endless ideas to attract more customers online. If this helped you rethink how ideas work, stay close and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because more specific content is coming next. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.